Hello world, there's a good chance that, like me, you cover your laptop's webcam with a bit of sticky tape. Zuckerberg does it, and even the former director of the FBI has suggested you should do it too. But what about your laptop's microphone? Sticky tape isn't really going to do the job there, so how do you know your mic isn't listening in on you? Well, scientists have a solution, and they've published a research paper all about it. Their Raspberry Pi powered proof of concept device can detect whether a microphone is active via the tiny amount of electromagnetic radiation emitted by microphones when they're being used. This works on the principle that the type of microphones used in laptops require the use of an analog to digital converter, an ADC, in order to convert the analog signal from the microphone to a digital signal that can be read by the laptop. These ADCs require a clock signal to work, typically between 1 and 4.8 MHz. The clock signal is only active when the microphone is on. When the microphone is off, there is no clock signal. You can read the presence of this clock signal with a near-field probe, which the researchers have sticky taped onto their laptop. And with the help of an amplifier, SDR, and Raspberry Pi, you can process the data from the probe and ultimately determine whether a microphone is on or off based on whether the clock signal is active. The researchers have named their invention TikTok, not to be confused with TikTok. So is TikTok coming to a laptop near you, or is this a flawed, over-engineered, but nonetheless interesting bit of kit? Spoiler alert, it's probably the latter. I mean, even if this proof of concept could be shrunk down to the researchers' ideal form factor, some kind of device you just clip on your laptop, there are a few problems. This device relies on the electromagnetic radiation emitted by a laptop's internal microphone clock cable, so if a laptop is encased in, say, aluminium, the radiation is blocked by the case. So, of the laptops the researchers tested, TikTok failed to detect the mic clock signals in 3 laptops, all of which are Apple MacBooks. Also, the placement of the device depends on where the cables are located in the laptop. On top of that, different laptops will use different clock frequencies for the microphone. The paper suggests this problem could be solved if laptop manufacturers would put a sticker on their laptops indicating where to stick a TikTok device, and then shipping the TikTok device pre-programmed for the correct frequency used in the laptop. Why laptop manufacturers would do all of that when they could just implement a hardware switch for the microphone, just like some already do with their webcams, I don't know. This whole idea has to be one of the most inelegant, over-engineered solutions to a problem I've ever come across. But I was thinking maybe this technology could be applied to an Amazon Echo or other smart speakers. It is a bit of a meme that they listen to everything. Though the problem with that is that smart speakers kinda do have to listen to everything you say. How else are they going to hear that wake word? The same thing, of course, applies to phones. So no, I don't think TikTok is going to be very useful, but is there some application of this technology I've missed? Do let me know in the comments. Next up, Chrome's enhanced Spellcheck feature is probably leaking your passwords, sending them in plain text straight to Google. When this feature is enabled, everything you type in the browser is sent to Google for analysis, and in fairness, Chrome does say this in the settings, so I suppose this feature was only working as advertised when it was discovered that the data sent to Google includes passwords, though only when a website implements a show password button. If this button doesn't exist on a website, or if it does exist and you don't click it, then the password isn't sent to Google. It was the CTO at a security company who stumbled across this problem. You can see him typing his creds into an AWS login prompt, clicking show password, and then by intercepting the HTTP connections, you can clearly see the password is sent to Google. The data is encrypted via SSL, so it's not like someone could read this in transit, but at the end of the day, Google does receive a plain text copy of your password, and as it's treated like any other text input, it's not hashed or anything. What Google then does with your password is unclear. I imagine they anonymize any input they receive and don't store it for very long, so you're probably okay, but this is still a screw up. And it's caused by the fact that Chrome will retrieve the text of any form where the HTML spellcheck attribute is set to true, and it's true by default when not defined, even when a form is of type password. After a quick analysis, it looks like most websites are affected by this whole problem. But luckily, this enhanced spellcheck option is disabled by default in Chrome, so unless you manually flicked it on, you won't be affected. Chrome isn't alone in this though. Edge users, you're also vulnerable, though only if you have the Microsoft Editor browser add-on. It would be pretty easy for Google and Microsoft to fix this, and I imagine they will, just by excluding password forms from Spellcheck, but until then, you've got to make sure this is off. Just search Spellcheck in Chrome settings. Next up, researchers have uncovered a bizarre operation in which a threat actor is literally trying to crack Bitcoin. This was uncovered by Aquasec, a company which noticed some strange activity on their honeypots which consist of a misconfigured Docker daemon set up to see what damage hackers could do to them. And as expected, they were eventually exploited by a cybercrime group called Team TNT. So this group is known for targeting cloud services, exploiting them for things like crypto mining and DDoSing, so nothing really out of the ordinary. But Aquasec noticed Team TNT doing something seemingly nonsensical. After gaining access to their honeypots, they created a new container consisting of an Alpine OS image, which contains a malicious script. The script clones a GitHub repository and then launches a kangaroo attack. So what's going on here? What is a kangaroo attack? Well, this GitHub repo contains an algorithm, Pollard's Kangaroo for SECPK1, which can be used for cracking the type of encryption which Bitcoin uses. The name is a bit verbose, so this is just being referred to as a kangaroo attack. And to be clear, this isn't a Bitcoin miner. This algorithm is an attempt at cracking the very public key encryption method which Bitcoin relies on. So my math skills just aren't good enough to say whether this algorithm is any good, but that's largely irrelevant, because if you know anything about Bitcoin, you'll know that trying to crack its encryption with anything less than some futuristic quantum computer is a bit crazy. Because sure, whilst it is theoretically possible to crack a public key with conventional computing, it's one of those things that would take longer than the age of the universe, and even if that math is off by a few billion years, it's still a completely infeasible task, one which the researchers have called Mission Impossible. So Team TNT are effectively throwing GPU cycles in the bin by doing this. It just doesn't make any sense. But if you're smart enough to launch an attack like this, surely you'd realize how dumb trying to crack Bitcoin is. So the best guess as to why Team TNT is doing this is that they're experimenting here, with running performance-intensive operations on hacked systems, perhaps to see how long they can go undetected, and figure out what kinds of other problems they might run into that they just hadn't anticipated. Or maybe they somehow realized that they had hacked a honeypot and just wanted to confuse researchers and YouTubers. The best pen testing teams trust PlexTrac, the cybersecurity reporting and collaboration platform, helping them build better reports in half the time, aggregate findings from all their tools, and maximize their reusable report content, like write-ups and narratives. With PlexTrac, you'll become more efficient and effective, delivering better results from every engagement, whilst exponentially increasing ROI and time savings. Ready to elevate your reporting, improve collaboration across teams, and demonstrate real progress? Spend more time hacking and less time reporting with PlexTrac. Claim your free month of the PlexTrac platform exclusively for Satonic viewers using the link in the video description. As always, thanks for watching. Sources can of course be found in the video description. Stay tuned for more hacking videos, and have a good one.